So after my presentation last month, the quantum stocks kept going and they kept going and they went really high and we were doing great. And everything seemed great. And I don't know if you all heard, I'm just going to give you a very, like a 2-minute synopsis, because it's been a wild ride. But they interviewed, there was at the CES in Las Vegas, the Computer Electronics Show, they interviewed the CEO of NVIDIA. And he's evidently terrified by the idea of quantum replacing his new chips because they're definitely superior. And he knows that. So when he was asked, what do you think of quantum? When do you think, it'll be having an effect? He goes that it's going to be about at least 10 years away. And then he goes, well, more like 20. And then he goes, well, no, really 30 years. So all the stocks took a dive. And everyone who's in quantum knew right away it was a clear manipulation. The guy was clearly threatened, but he threw that out there. So the next day, the CEO, and as everyone knows who's been on this call, and for the new members like SingStar, you said you're new to the group. I've been saying, for my famous, become now famous quote is that for people who say quantum is coming, quantum is not coming. And I repeat it, quantum is not coming. Quantum is here. So the quantum computers are here, believe it or not, and they're doing great things. And QBTS, DWAVE, is doing all sorts of stuff. And as I mentioned several times, they are being implemented by NTT Docomo. And I was in telecom for 15 years. They're the largest telecom operator company in Japan. And they're implementing their solution, they're rolling out a pilot, and they've already proved that the quantum computer can reduce the base traffic by 15%. Now, if you're in telecom, 15% is huge. So it's pretty impressive. And there's been other things that DWAVE has done. There's 2 Chinese researchers use their annealing computer to break 2 lower level encryption security, what's the word, like algorithms that the US uses, lower level, not the upper level yet. But it seems to me it's a matter of months. And also, which is why I posted today, in the inaugural address yesterday, he mentioned we're going to Mars. Well, there's a PR out under a QBTS where their annealing computer was used to optimize and improve the trajectory times for going to Mars. So that's sort of out there. So that seems to me a real plus. So the QBTS CEO attacked back the next day and saying, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. We have real world applications that are being used right now, which is all true. So then the next day, there wasn't much of an effect the next day, but the day after that, Zuckerberg chimes in and he piles it on and he says, oh, he's right, the NVIDIA CEO is right, it's at least 10 years away. And again, the stocks are taking a hit, right? So at that point, I call Diedrich, our new member, Diedrich, and I said to him, I've been processing all this. And the only way, for me coming out with a statement, our group isn't certainly, no one knows who I am. And that's not going to do anything. We need a heavyweight to counter them. And I said, the only one I could think of that could really come back and counter them would be like a Microsoft, a Bill Gates. Well, the next day, Microsoft comes out defending the quantum plays and saying that every company needs to be quantum ready. So the stock started back up. And then the next day, RGTI, Rigetti, whose company, all the traders we call Rigatoni, he came out also defending the stock. So they've been going up. And then on top of that, I mentioned the National Quantum Initiative has not been re-signed. They're renewing it, but it hasn't been signed yet. I believe it went out of committee. And also the UN has declared it the year of quantum. You can look that up. I believe it was in June of 23. They declared this year to be the year of quantum. So then, you know, just with all these accusations of manipulation, you're going to laugh. This is the last part of my story. And this is a true story. So then NVIDIA comes out. Okay, after saying, well, it's 30 years off, they come out and they go, well, in mid-March, we're going to have a quantum day. And they invite all the CEOs of all the major quantum companies, including quite a few I'd never even heard of, to this quantum day. So clearly he tried to knock the stock down. So whereupon I posted in StockTwits and I said, well, you know, if you honestly believe that quantum's 30 years away, why do you need to have a quantum conference in mid-March, right? Think about that. So that's what's happened with the quantum stocks. So today, supposedly at 4 o'clock, there was supposed to be a $500 billion announcement for AI funding in the US, hopefully going to AI companies. So let's pull up, and let me tell you the quick story. If you can, John, pull up BBAI. It's bigbear.ai, BBAI. John, are you there? Oh, here we go.
Sorry, yeah, I'm here. You guys see my
Okay,
screen?
Great. So real quick, everyone, I just want everyone to know, and maybe I'll put out a message to all 1953 members, but at least you guys should know. You know, it's been pretty much my role to get the guest speakers. And I started in November. I discovered bigbear.ai, BBAI, and I noticed they were in Columbia, Maryland. So I spent the last part of November, all of December, and all of January trying to get hold of Mandy Long, the CEO, because we decided that not only would we're trying to have speakers on quantum, but wouldn't it be cool to have a speaker on AI? So I thought, well, she could speak on AI and of course talk about her company. And so I've spent hours, everyone, and I'm not asking for sympathy, but I have tried so hard. I've made so many phone calls trying to get hold of this woman, and I just couldn't get hold of her. I tried every trick imaginable. She suddenly posted 2 weeks ago on LinkedIn about a contract they had won, and I immediately jumped on, congratulated her, and told her we were trying to get hold of her and gave her all my information. You know, and I also sent her LinkedIn 3 times. I sent a LinkedIn request. I called all these numbers. The headquarters in Columbia kept saying there's no one there by that name in the telephone directory. So finally, about a week ago, I finally, for the first time after all these hours, get hold of a person in tech support. I tried everything. I left messages for sales and marketing. Any way I could just get hold of a person to talk to. So I got hold of this guy in tech support and I started telling him what we were trying to do. And it turned out, even though it was a California number, he was actually back in Columbia, Maryland. So it's right in our neighborhood, right? So he says, oh, I can send my supervisors, his managers, a message to forward to her. So I kept working on him some more. And then he finally said, well, okay, guess what? I just found her direct email address. So he emailed her. So you ready for this, everyone? The next day, a PR comes out. Mandy Long is out as CEO. She's done. And they hired the guy of the company they bought. I think it's called Prometheum. So anyway, BBAI does AI. They are at all the airports. Originally, the first contract was at Denver International Airport doing all the facial recognition. And now people, even today on StockTwits, are starting to post photos of screens at different airports. So they've got that contract. They're winning a lot of contracts, and they've just won. They're on the Oasis. Now, for people outside of Washington, D.C., which is the majority of traders, they're not going to know what Oasis is. However, it is a big deal. In fact, Zoe, who's on the call with us, Zoe has a new job and she's the senior business development analyst. She's creating new business getting her company on Oasis. And when I told her Big Bear was on Oasis, she literally jumped out of her chair. She was so excited. So yes, it's a big deal. So I'm hoping, so let's take a look at it, and I'm hoping we go higher. So what do you all think of that chart? That's my question to the group. So for those who are new, we do a group think. Everyone gives their opinion. Bob Barish may come in with his Elliott waves, and different people give their opinion on what we're looking at.
It looks like it's forming a cup. I have it up on my desktop. And so I'm showing it from February. I have a daily chart up. I'm showing it from February to now. The volume has considerably increased from December. And it looks pretty bullish now. But I think it's like almost forming a cup and handle.
Do you think it could go a lot higher? Or?
Yeah, definitely.
So just so you know, when we have our meetings, we oftentimes, I should mention at the top, we make no representations about, we don't recommend buying, we don't recommend buying stocks or ETFs or options or selling or shorting or covering. We make no recommendations. Everyone decides for themselves, but we do discuss the plays. And sometimes people will often talk about what they did. Is the way we do it professionally. So I will share with you. So I have bought, I've bought twice. So let's see if I can bring this up here. So I bought on December 16th, I bought at $3.09. And then I added on, let's see if I can find it here. I added on December 19th at $2.92. I mean, technically 2.9178. Merrill Lynch gave me a weird fill, but so $2.92. So those are my two prices, 309 and 292. And I have two buys. So that's where I'm at. And I'd like to see it, if it could, I'd love to see it get to 7. I don't know if that's feasible, but that would be nice.
Well, the high was 1612 back in April, but that was April 2022.
Right.
1612, and then it looks like it has a floor at $1.13.
That's a pretty big down wave from 16. I don't know. I'm looking at the if I look at a weekly chart of it, this looks very volatile. Looks spiky to me, and
that's a scary.
And
that's
looks
scary
like a down wave from here. Like I personally wouldn't buy it up here. I would like to buy it probably down closer to the 250 to $2 range. Because I kind of feel like you're already up 400% in a matter of a couple of months, I think, right?
It's look left, trade right. When you look and see resistance in those last two times, right in that price frame. And when you look at the other chart, you have a head and shoulders pattern near the end.
That's what I see too.
It may well go just because of what it is, but it's from a chart standpoint, it looks a little scary.
It looks like a head and shoulders, but head and shoulders doesn't complete until you actually
until it's down. That's right. But that would be your critical point.
But it looks pretty poppy here. Like so I mean, and then if you look at the weekly chart, it looks very spiky. I was about to pull up a volume here to see what the volumes look like. Yeah, I mean it usually chases it up in big volume and then it kind of dies off. So unless there's some positive news or something, some new development that's gonna chase it higher, the pattern in the past has been like a big volume spike high and then like a real sharp pullback into a little cupping, little saucer pattern.
Yeah,
Also, Ethan, Mandy Long did stay on with the company as an advisor.
right. No, I did hear that. But Star, she still hasn't gotten back to me. So I have given up, Star. I mean, I put a lot of time into this for our group, and because I watched her videos, she has these, 5-minute videos. I watched 6 of them. I mean, she's a really cool person. Uh, she talks about her family and her personal life, and she's very smart. I mean, as a female executive, she's someone I'd love for my daughter to, as a mentor. I mean, the woman's brilliant, and she headed up IBM's Watson. Everyone, I'm sure, knows what Watson is, the artificial intelligence computer. So she headed up Watson. So she's just an amazing speaker. She talks the talk, and I thought she'd be a great speaker, but I can't get hold of her. I've given up. So we'll move on to the next. If I'm going to get hold of anyone with quantum, I need to do it pretty quick. Because if you all, the other thing I wanted to mention on quantum was they announced today that Davos, DAVOS, the Economic Forum, they're doing a whole session on quantum and AI. It might be for a week. So that was revealed today as well. So, all right, well, let's move on. Thank you all for the great feedback. Let's move on to the next one. Here, I got just a few more. Okay. Let's see. I thought it would be interesting to take a look at SOUN, SOUN. So SOUN, I'll do the functional sort of quick summarization. They're doing all the AI assisted voice interaction. So for example, they're winning all the restaurant and fast food businesses. So when you go through the drive-in, you're not interacting with a person, you're interacting with the AI, and they talk to you, and it's very exact. You can add ketchup, mayonnaise, take off cheese off a hamburger. You can do all sorts of things. And the best way to learn about SoundHound, if you're interested, is to go on their internet site. They have videos, and it really is the future. It's pretty amazing stuff. But they have one video where you talk to the TV, you tell the TV to turn on, you tell it to bring up Netflix, you select a movie, talking to the TV, it selects the movie. In the middle of the movie, you stop the film, order a pizza, have the pizza delivered, and continue watching the movie. So you can see all these videos on their internet site. They also landed White Castle. So it's a great stock, a great company. It concerns me they're still losing money. I bought and held them quite a while, and I unfortunately sold back at $5 for a profit, but not a huge profit. And then it just took off finally. So what do y'all think now? I know it had, I believe it was up, let's see, pretty positive it was
It's
up.
up a lot today, 20%.
Yeah,
This chart this one looks pretty good actually. It's pulled a sharp run up, it pulled back to the moving average line, and looks like it's bouncing off of it.
yeah,
The weekly chart looks like it's broken out and does look like a little bit of a pullback here. Possibly could sag a little bit, but the chart looks this chart looks pretty good in my humble opinion.
What is your pink area on the chart? What does that mean?
These are Ichimoku clouds I've got here on my weekly charts. So
Oh,
the pink is a downward cloud, and the green is a positive cloud formation.
oh. So when you see the
So
cloud, what do you do with it? What does it mean? I mean,
well, like if I use it as a support resistance type. So if you look at the S&P 500, this trend's above the cloud. When you see it breaking below the cloud, that's typically a trend reversal. So
I
if
see.
it's as long as you're I use the moving average with it, but I like to look at the cloud as well because it kind of forms a pattern out ahead of where the stock is currently trading at.
Huh. Okay.
But
Any other comments on SOUN or?
No.
Yeah, it looks like a good chart. I think when Jensen, head of NVIDIA, came out on stage at CES, he just killed all the quantums, and then Jim Cramer bashed him for 3 days straight.
Oh yeah, I
And right
forgot
after
about
Jensen,
that. Yeah,
yeah, right after Jensen said what he had to say. And so it was just really a ugly time for all of us who were in those. I was in Rigetti, and it was painful. It was really painful. But I think we're turning back around now because the truth is coming out.
right, right. You'll enjoy Star my we're gonna be getting my video up on quantum computer investing from last month. So that was it was a spur of the moment presentation that I decided about an hour before our meeting because we didn't have a guest speaker. I still didn't have Mandy. I was very frustrated. I said, we gotta have someone. And so I just did a presentation. I had no script, no notes. I just talked on all my research because I do a lot of research every day. So I just presented it and people seem to like it. So hopefully we'll have that up on our DC Day Swing Traders YouTube channel. So,
Okay.
okay,
Thank you.
else? Anyone else on SoundHound or?
I pull up their financials. Their revenues are growing by a huge amount, like 90, 100% per year. They're still expected to lose money for a few more years. I think the most recent quarter, you can see their revenues are growing 100 plus 200%. So this is like a high growth. They're still in the high growth stage. Still haven't turned a profit yet, but I mean, you can't argue with 100% revenue growth quarter over quarter.
Right. And they're working, I should have mentioned this, they're working with Hyundai and they had a PR today. They're gonna be working with Rekor Systems, REKR. I never heard of them. The collaboration will combine SoundHound's advanced voice and conversational AI and Rekor's industry-leading vehicle recognition software, Rekor Scout, to deliver seamless hands-free functionality for ALPR and other critical vehicle systems, aiming to enhance safety, situational awareness, and operational efficiency for law enforcement and first responders. So I have a Hyundai and it doesn't talk to me, but if I take my hand off the steering wheel, I get a message that says 2 hearings on the steering wheel. I can tell you that. So, anyone else on SOUN? We can move on. The next one and again, I have lots of them I could present. So let's see, what did I do with it here? So the next one, and then after I have, I'll tell you what I have left. I have DWAVE, Rocket Lab, and LUNR, which is intuitive machines. But Star, if you'd like to offer one up, that's fine. Because we do throughout the month, people contact me with plays. So, we'll do whatever the membership wants. It's not just my play. The only reason I came up with a list is I didn't have anything this month for the members. So I just picked some. So the next one I have is DWAVE, DWAV. I'm sorry, QBTS. QBTS, my mistake. It's DWAVE, but their symbol is QBTS. So you can see where it got hit by the NVIDIA.
Virtually the same pattern.
Yeah. What, Bob?
Virtually the same pattern.
Yeah.
Move up down to 0.5%. Now the question comes, if that is a first wave of a long move, it's come back 50% roughly Fibonacci. You'd probably you want to put a retracement on it, and it's starting to bounce off of that. Now, that could be the start of a zigzag down, or it could be a continuation now of that is now completed the second Elliott, and it's ready to go on the third wave. It's hard to say, you're in a kind of never zone there from the chart standpoint.
Right.
You would have to be directed otherwise.
Didn't you once tell us that the third wave is the same length as 1 and 2 or 1? Something
No, 1 and 5 are often the same. The third wave is usually the longer one. It's
Oh, I-
usually about 1.618 or 1.5 times, can be 2 times, 2.5 times roughly.
Right.
And leave one. So that would
Yeah,
start with pattern.
right.
They can be the same or or they can not be the same. It can
Yeah.
go either way,
Yeah,
honestly.
you'll see in what I'm showing you, there is a difference later when I show you.
Yeah. Now, what I like about D-Wave, I like this company the best as a company because they have both annealing and gate model quantum computers. And I have a quote from their 10K. Let me read this to you. This really nailed it because I've been telling everybody, and for those new to the group like Star, I've been saying it's not, one of the tricks of manipulation that you'll see in the market is when people try and make it a competition between the quantum companies, trying to say, well, this one's best and the others are garbage, and they try and manipulate it. And my point of view is there's millions and millions of use cases or problems that need to get solved, and each quantum computer solves different problems. So it's like a team event. We're all working together. And even though everyone's trying to develop, they're not really competing against each other. They're just trying to come up with the
But
best quantum computer.
Ethan, it doesn't look like these guys have any business. Looks like they don't make any money. I mean,
No, I know.
their
The
revenues are
revenue,
only like 10, not even 10 million
I know.
in
But they
24.
did have an announcement. I believe they're going to be getting 23 million this year. They did have
But you mean in like government contracts, they actually don't have like paying customers, right? Because if you look at,
they do.
if you look at SoundHound, like these guys are making 50 million, 80 million, they're gonna make 160 million in 25, but
Right.
D-Wave is, they're like making like not for, so in 25, they're supposed to get what, $6 million more than last year? So it
Right.
doesn't, so like, I don't know who their customers are, what they sell. It's like, it's almost like a biotech company that doesn't have a product. They're doing R&D and having, and maybe they make government contracts or grants or something like that, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping the National Quantum Initiative is supposed to be $5 billion of funding, and they all have connections with the new administration. What I like about D-Wave, I'll just read you this but this is an example. So they have both annealing and gate, and what they wrote was, for example, in the pharmaceutical sector, annealing quantum computing systems are best suited for patient trial and supply chain optimization, as well as protein folding, while gate model systems are best suited to assist with drug discovery. Both systems will likely play a role in quantum machine learning for toxicity mitigation. In manufacturing, new materials will be designed with gate model systems, while annealing quantum computing systems will be used to optimize factory automation to deliver new products that feature those new materials. And then they're going to be able to address the whole market using both. So I understand the financials, the same thing with Rigatoni. It's shaky, but I believe in this company. I really do. I do not believe in QUBT. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but that company I do not believe in at all. And I've written their IR, and their reply to me was pretty shaky. But okay, so next I have, is there any other comments on the chart? Anyone? No? The next one I have is Rocket Lab, RLAB.
It's RKLB.
I'm sorry. Did I say that wrong?
It's RKLB. I have this one.
Oh, yeah, my mistake. I typed it wrong. Yeah, RKLB, my mistake.
It's up 30% today.
Right. Well, here's the thing. This is all based today. I processed all of yesterday. And when I was crashing really late last night, I said to myself, the two plays for today, based on one statement, we're going to Mars, are LUNR and Rocket Lab. And I looked at both of them. This was after 4 o'clock. They had started trading. They were both up about $1.58. and I knew, but I couldn't get in till 7 with Merrill Lynch, and I was sleeping and didn't get up just before the open, and I didn't go in, and they were both gone, and then they kept going, and there was an entry on LUNR, a second entry about 10, a little after 10 o'clock, but I missed it. So, yeah, so they did.
I sold Lunar today.
Oh, you bought this today?
I bought this last week at 16 right here, and then I sold it today.
Oh, congratulations. Very
Thanks.
well done.
Yeah, nice move. Good move.
Where do you, those are the last two I have. Where do you think, I don't know which chart you want to do first, but I'd like comments from everyone, or Pete, you have any comments here? Or?
I like
No.
Rocket Labs. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I apologize. No, I don't have any comments, Ethan. Thanks.
Starry, what do you think?
I think Rocket Labs is a really nice company. I think it's a go. I think it was overinflated today. But we'll see how the rest of the week goes. I'm just looking at the chart. I think it just really jumped up out of nowhere. I mean, I know everybody's listening to what Trump is throwing out there, but when you look at that chart, that's $7.27 is the high. And I think that just kind of went a little bit parabolic. I think it's going to have to come back down a little bit, but it's still a good company, new company. I mean, we only really have 4 space companies to really work with.
Right.
So
I've been following this company for over 2 years, and I believe I never bought it. Are you in, Star? Did you buy it, or?
I'm actually shorting the stock at the end of the
You're
day.
shorting
Yeah,
it.
on option. Yeah, I have a short one. I just don't see this continuing. And I can, stay in here on these options for a minute or two. But yeah, I was in Rigetti today, and that was a nice call option. And then I shorted Apple from last Friday to today, and it was beautiful. So on option. So, but yeah, as far as space is concerned, we only have Rocket Labs, Lunar, and Space SPCE. I think there's another one that I may
The
be
other one
overlooking.
that went up today, sort of in sympathy, is AST Mobile, ASTS. And that one, as everyone knows, I bought early because I was in telecom. So I know, I worked for OmniPoint. They were the first mobile telecom. They're T-Mobile today. So I worked for the company as a executive management consultant. And so I know all about this. So I've been in ASTS, but when it went up, I sold, because I bought it like $7 and I sold it like 20. And I took my profit, and then 2 days later it goes to 38. Oh, well. And then it came back down. In fact, last week it was below what I sold it at. And I thought about it re-entering, but I didn't.
What do they do? They do satellites? Is that what they do?
Well,
Ethan?
they do mobile communications through
Isn't
your
that
satellite.
satellites, mobile
Right, and so
communication?
you don't need cell towers. And then therefore from space, they can hit anywhere in the world, providing
Do they
mobile apps.
launch, or do they launch the satellites like a
Yeah,
rocket,
they're
or do
up there.
they make the satellites?
No, they're up there, but there's more coming.
Do they
Yeah.
launch it themselves, or they use like a Rocket Lab or a
I
SpaceX?
think they used SpaceX.
SpaceX?
Yeah, no, they're up there. And
I
you
can
know,
tell
there
you
were a
that
lot of there were a
Rocket
lot of
Lab.
okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there were a lot of people on like StockTwits who for a year kept saying they didn't know if it would work or not. And I posted a lot saying, well, of course it's gonna work. Does do satellites work? Can we talk to the International Space Station? Our GPS, does that work? Of course it's gonna work. So I knew it would work, and it did work. So it's just like when we started with mobile. I was working at MCI Telecom at the time, and the treasurer of MCI who I worked for went over to OmniPoint, and he called me up and said, "Come on over." And So I went over to work for him for 2 years, and he said, well, there's gonna be this thing called mobile phones. You're gonna be able to get your stock quotes on it, your sports on it, restaurant reviews, and all this stuff. I mean, it wasn't out yet. So I was sort of there at the beginning when they were, you know, buying bandwidth from the federal government. So that's how I learned all this.
I
So,
think everybody should read the book Musk, just to kind of be ready. I think it's a it's a very well-written book, and you'll get a pretty good idea of what the fellow's all about.
huh,
I've had a Tesla for 6.5 years now,
really?
almost 7. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
It's a good car,
Oh,
but
that's good.
he didn't have anything to do with it.
Oh, he
Sure
did.
didn't. No,
No,
he
he
took
didn't
that
have
company
anything
from
at all to
another
do with it.
person.
He made it famous, but he didn't have anything to do with it. Anyway,
Correct. Yep, correct.
So, well, while we got it up, does anyone want to comment on AST Mobile on the chart? I'm not in, but no, no one?
no,
So it seems as if they have 5 commercial Bluebird satellites
Right,
into low Earth orbit and that they
right,
launched September of 24.
right, the
Uh,
blue, correct.
mhm. And it looks like that they are they have some investments from AT&T, Verizon, Google, and Vodafone.
Oh, they have
So
all the major companies, uh, except for I think one. I'm not sure if T-Mobile is with them yet, but they've got Orange over in Europe. They've got all the major players. Some of them
yeah,
are early investors. Yeah, they are very well supported.
yeah, they have agreements with more than 45 mobile network operators globally. And
Right,
then they also have signed a couple of contracts with the United States government.
correct.
This will definitely be on my watch list. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Does anybody, before we leave, have any other analysis, technical analysis on Rocket Lab or LUNR, LUNR?